Hi, I'm Kirsty Questorf. I am the director of Klamath Film, and with me today is Rollyn Stafford, the creative mind, all hats wearing behind Kinsperson. Rollyn, thanks so much for chatting with us today.
You bet.
You bet. Yes, awesome. So Kinsperson is a pretty personal film. You know, it's you and your real life bestie, I'm assuming, Evelyn.
Mhm.
Yes. So, what was that kind of process like? You're wearing all these different hats, you're all these different roles for a film like this, but you're also hanging out with your best friend all day and filming it. So, how do you kind of balance that between professional, personal, and also just kind of getting the heart across in your film?
Oh, it was very easy, honestly. It was a very simple story that not a lot happened, just a lot of talking about basically our personal lives for the most part. Evelyn and I wrote this together. I wrote the first draft, and then she chimed in, especially on her character. But we were having lunch one day, and we decided to. Well, I should clarify. Had another project in mind, and Evelyn said, "Do you have any parts for me?" I said, "No." And then she sort of looked at the ground, twiddled her thumbs, and said, "You're never going to cast me in one of your movies, are you, as a lead?" And I felt so shitty about that. Can I say shitty? I mean, I felt bad about it. So then I decided, okay, let's write a movie where we can act in it that will suit our acting abilities. Well, we'll basically be playing ourselves. And this is what we did with Ken's Person. We wrote something very true to our friendship and the Portland film community and how we see it and how we thought we might communicate that to an audience. And that's where this film sort of came out of.
Yeah, absolutely. How fun to kind of get to make that. And, you know, you always need your friends to like guilt you a little bit with any sort of thing. It's like, oh, well, actually, I need you to make me a film for us too. So I love that and the open communication. So did I'm just curious, the premise of Evelyn moving to Louisiana, New Orleans, is that something that happened? Did Evelyn leave? Did she stay? Was
She stayed, thank God.
yeah.
Uh, but no, this was a very real thing that she was considering doing. And it was not, it was upsetting me, not as so much as my character in the film was upset. On a lower, on a subconscious level, I was like, oh, my sister, best friend is going to be leaving. And I'm not going to see her as much as I used to see her. So yes, that was a very real thing she was considering because there were film work in New Orleans, and there always has been. Ever since like COVID started, they were one of the few places that was been like whatever COVID, and they just were open to filming. So yes, that was something that could happen, and so I thought it'd be a fun premise to see. Well, how would a different version of myself sort of handle this news? If this guy was just really upset that he was losing his best friend. So no, thankfully she is not moved. She in fact has so much has happened since Ken Person. She actually has a boyfriend now. Even the whole Ken's Person movie, she's complained about not having the right soulmate. And now she's found like a real nice guy and they just moved in together.
Aw.
So I think that's wonderful, and I'm so happy about it that she's sticking around.
Absolutely. Major kudos to Evelyn, and Oregon as a whole is happy to have her stay, especially in the filmmaking.
Indeed, yes.
So that's awesome. So, you know, you kind of mentioned that this is a maybe a little bit exaggerated version of yourself that's playing. How do you kind of manage that where you're like, oh, this is me, but it's also not me? What kind of characteristics or different traits do you throw in when you're acting almost as yourself, but different?
Well, I'd say if you watch the film, the things that are exaggerated are for me yelling, losing my temper, for example. That's not me. I don't do that. I don't get that stressed. I went to film school, and that's most stressful you can ever get. So nothing really compares to that. There's no point in losing your cool over something else. Um, so all the times you see my character yelling over the phone or blowing up, that is the exaggerated part. That's definitely not me. In fact, I remember when we screened the movie originally for friends, a couple of my close buddies looked at me and laughed because like that that's like that's
Oh,
you, you know. It's like that's a great acting, but it's not you. Yeah.
totally. That's so funny. And there's so many like laugh out loud moments. One of our screeners called it the most Portland thing that has ever Portlanded. Um, so make sure you put that quote somewhere on the poster or anything. But what was kind of that process like of, shooting around Portland? You have an amazing film community there. You're talking about Portland. How do you decide on, I don't know, different jokes and also just kind of highlighting that community aspect of Portland film?
Hmm. Well, again, this all came from discussions that me and Evelyn had. We both have very different opinions on the film community in Portland. Um, and we thought it was important to express that in whatever way we could. Um, and the jokes just sort of flowed from there. It was an interesting process. I'd never have a writing partner before.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so to go back and forth was kind of fun. And the same with Melissa Crossland, who played the dancer at the end of the movie. We incorporated her in a Zoom session, and then we just sort of improv for half an hour, and I recorded it, and I sort of took little bits of, okay, this is funny, this works, and then I sort of wrote in the rest to make it flow better. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. The kind of the pre-meetings and everything and making sure you get those sparks to where they come. So if I were to put a trademark on Rollyn Stafford films, it would be like a zombie. So I love kind of the nonchalantness of the zombies in this movie. They're hanging out. You're at the beginning, you're kind of like, get off my lawn, like all these different things where it's just nonchalant and they're just kind of in there. So how did that come into the film, and did you just kind of want like zombies make everything better? So let's make sure that this film also has them.
Yeah, again, that was just me thinking that zombies make stories much more interesting. There was sort of a slight subconscious political message in there that this is like, early 2022 when we filmed, where we thought that maybe the zombies could represent like unvaccinated people. I mean, there's sort of some inside jokes in there, like I say, stay 6 feet away from me.
Yep.
Uh, but again, that's just sort of like I like the idea of normalizing the whole zombie apocalypse thing. That these zombies are just, yeah, they're here. You just have to deal with them. They're not a big deal. Just avoid them. You'll be fine. But they're here. And I love that idea. Of just this is the way the world is now, and we have to move on. I honestly, yeah, I honestly feel that's the way it would happen if with some zombies did it happen in Portland. We just like Portlanders would find a way to like just go about their lives somehow.
So
We still go to strip clubs, and the zombies would still show up. Yeah.
yep, it's like that kind of thing going on the internet. Like, do I still have to go to work and do I still have to pay rent? If the answer is yes, then
Yeah, we still have to function in society somehow.
yep, exactly. And honestly, I think it helped me a little bit with my like apocalyptic existential dread. I'm like, well, you know what? Zombies don't seem that bad.
Could
It's
always be worse.
could always be worse. Could always be worse. Zombies and aliens. Alien zombies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so is there anything you kind of want to chat about or add in about making films in Oregon, things that you love, maybe from an outsider's perspective, someone thinking about coming into Oregon? What would you say to them as a filmmaker and kind of trying to find their place and if they wanted to move here for that?
We should move to Portland.
Yeah, or well, Oregon, but I mean, you're familiar with Portland, so we'll go with that.
Um, don't engage in back talking behind people's backs, I guess. Because
Make
Portland,
friends.
make friends, not enemies. Listen, Portland is the biggest city in Oregon. However, you are also be a very big fish in a small pond here, which means you say something negative about someone or somebody or some production, it's gonna probably bite you in the ass. And I try to avoid that as much as possible here, which is why it's important to have a significant other where you can tell this people stuff to it. I think the differences between other places, say Los Angeles, for example, is that we do consider ourselves more of a chill vibe family here, where in LA it's all about the hustle, which is not a bad thing. That's great. They get stuff done real quick. And here it's more, okay, well, we don't get it now, we'll get it tomorrow. It's fine. It's a much more relaxed vibe. And also people remember your names here, which is nice.
That is nice, a nice little touch. So
Yeah, I
that's
think so.
yeah, totally agree. Well, speaking of getting stuff done, I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but you're wearing so many different hats. How do you kind of balance? I mean, you're also working and making passion projects. How do you balance all of that with writing, producing, directing, acting, and just kind of getting it done and putting out your work into the world?
Baby steps. Take breaths and make sure you collaborate with people and don't try to do it all by yourself. It might seem like I'm wearing a lot of hats, but I have a lot of help, especially when it comes to my cinematographer and my editor, especially. They are key. I couldn't make these movies by myself, um, as much as I like to. It'd be fun to go out and do these things by yourself, but you gotta have some sort of assistance, just to help you to get through the day, I think. Yeah. It's an interesting balance. Interesting balance. Yeah.
For sure. Teamwork makes the dream work, and the
Yeah.
zombie movies work.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rollyn, we're always such a fan of your work and just so happy and thrilled to be able to be showing it and so support your ongoing support of Klamath Film and entering in the Klamath Independent Film Festival. So is there any last thoughts you have about Kinsperson or about filmmaking?
All I can say is I think the Klamath Independent Film Festival has a real opportunity to blow up in the next few years, and I can see a lot of people coming to that town to make movies. And I'm not saying KIFF will be the next Sundance area, but I'm saying it has a potential to become something really, really big. And I can't wait to see that happen, which is why I'm being so nice to you now, which is like I'm going to be on your good side when this shit goes down.
Oh
And-
yeah, VIP status.
yes.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your kind words,
Yeah.
Rollyn. We so appreciate it. It's so nice. And yeah, thank you again for being a part of the KIF this year.
Yeah. So cool.
Absolutely.